Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Interjections podcast, subtitled The Undiscovered Decade. As many of our followers have long known, this is a podcast that covers movies that have been sort of lost to time, stuff that's underrated, or something in a person's filmography that you look at their filmography and you're like, what the hell is that? What is The Road to Wellville? So we're here to tell you about a movie from 1994, October, that came out 30 years ago. Usually how we decide who says the synopsis is we look at this random picker wheel. All right, ready to spin.
Let it be Jimmy.
Great to have an ad in front of it.
Yeah.
Hey!
Jimmy!
Oh, lovely. So
now you're done for the year, at least. We all had, except for me, everyone had an even shot at describing this film. So it's down to Cory and Jeff for the last two films of the year.
Oof.
So tell us about Road to Wellville, Jimmy.
so we got a movie about Mr. Dr. Kellogg's, but it's not focused on him. It's focused on his like weird little medical retreat that he could
Sanitarium.
The sanitarium. It's where he could like profess his propaganda, his food propaganda on the benefits of what is this thing like
It's health
not
benefits.
eating meat or just health benefits and making sure you pay extra attention to your dookie. And Matthew Broderick's character and his wife head there because they're not well and they need to get better. And then we have John Cusack's character who's there to start his own cornflakes business because it's booming and there's a bunch of other cornflakes factories like there in the area anyways.
Battle Creek is notoriously known for cereal.
Oh yeah. So
Over
like
100 patents.
yeah, so like they go through the whole rigmarole of like cleansing themselves and making themselves better. The wife's having a good time. She's basically just being like a Victorian middle class lady, just socializing, being a socialite.
Pampered.
And yeah, and Matthew Broderick's character is just going through hell. He's getting enemas, shock treatment, and he before he even got there, all he's been eating is toast.
Yeah, it does not go well for him.
Yeah, it does not go well for him. I don't know, like
There's only one other subplot you didn't mention. Kellogg has several adopted children.
oh yeah, there we go, and that's Dana
Apply the movie.
Yeah.
Carvey,
Harvey
Carvey.
yeah, Harvey,
and George.
Dana Carvey.
yeah.
Oh, Carvey.
I actually
Did he play
almost like he looked different enough to where I didn't recognize him almost.
Nice.
Because he's a master of disguise.
Oh
my
yeah,
God.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm very mad at you. That's
I
pretty
mean,
much it.
it's kind of like pretty much a typical like romantic comedy with like with a historical vibe to it.
Mhm.
Romantic comedy.
They're trying to do this kind of Woody Allen light where there's like moments of indifference, moments of sitcom-ish confusion.
Yeah, well,
They think they're like Woody Allen, but they're just kind of like
I got a sense that this
the
was
jokes fall
emulating.
flat a little bit.
Yeah, I got a sense it was emulating like movies of the '70s that was like portraying this era,
Mhm.
but like with a modern sense of humor.
Yeah, it's a
It was trying to be Altman-esque.
That's a good point, though. Alan Parker
Yeah.
probably he started in the 70s, so he probably was trying to emulate films he had done before. Just his own style is sort of Altman-esque as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Any
a-
ensemble piece.
a period satire of
Mhm.
like just these turn of the century health remedies that some of which end up being lethal, and they just like laugh it off.
Yeah.
Except
Uh,
for- I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here.
So an interesting thing I pointed out to Tristan was this is probably like the only movie we get like John Cusack and Matthew Broderick in like to get like two like '80s like big stars. Like
Rat
this
Pack.
is the only movie that they're in together, and
Yeah.
never again.
Yeah, this is the only time they appear together. It's
They don't
Ferris
share
Bueller
last-
and Say Anything.
They don't share a lot of scenes together, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I think that scene's the best. It's the most electric. No pun intended.
Not for nothing. My favorite scenes. were Dana Carvey and Hopkins.
Oh, that makes sense.
Another.
Yeah.
Dana Carvey has no qualms about looking squalid and filthy in this, and
Mhm.
he rejoices in that.
Mhm.
He's throwing more than just shades at his father.
You know what it felt like?
How often do you get to see somebody throw bags of turds at like Anthony Hopkins?
Yeah.
It's true.
Ended up a millionaire.
It's funny. It's a weird movie because it's trying to be highbrow, but it's about all these lowbrow things.
Like scatological.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it doesn't find a happy medium between the two at all.
No.
I will say, I don't know how much this movie cost. I think maybe you had it in the notes.
I didn't have the budget. I forgot. I haven't done budget in a long time.
But
Did not make money.
The architecture of the sanitarium is fantastic. They spared no expense. They spared no expense on this.
So I know
place.
that they went up to New Paltz, New York, which isn't too far from where we all are, to film at a building that looked like the old sanitarium. The real one burnt down, just like in the film. So they obviously couldn't just go to the same one, but given that it's close to New York City, they could just hop up there and film in the Hudson Valley region. And apparently it's like a matchstick framing building. And so I think it was just a place that still existed that was from that era.
I'm sure they used interior someplace else.
Possibly, yeah.
The exterior of this thing looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
is
pretty
weird
sure
that the studio bankrolled this.
Yeah. I'm sure the one they burnt down wasn't the real one in New Paltz, but
I mean, the real one that they burnt down probably, or the one that they burnt down for the movie was probably just like a frame where you saw the front of it and just burned it. Like,
you're right.
It probably wasn't a full building.
Yeah. So even then, the recreation of the New Paltz building is pretty good.
And also a fire hazard.
Well, everything was a fire back then.
Yeah, we were more dangerous in the 90s. Too much cocaine still.
Right.
It's sad. I feel like Anthony Hopkins' performance is so good that's kind of wasted in this movie, because if we had cut out all the ancillary characters and just focused on him, this would have been actually a really good movie.
You know how like for certain characters in certain movies he'll emulate certain certain animals to like give that boost to the character, like with Hannibal Lecter is like a snake.
It sounds like John.
I'm guessing for this movie he chose like a prairie dog or a gopher.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because if you look at the way he stands and just pauses and just looks at you before he says something, or just like how absolute he is sometimes, you kind of just think it seems like an angry prairie dog.
He thrusts out his chest and his belly a lot.
Yeah.
He was very, very Teddy Roosevelt as a doctor.
He does look like the real John Harvey Kellogg, actually.
Yeah.
So I think he's just trying to emulate him, like do an actual impression of the real person.
Yeah, no,
He slightly caricature.
But he could have been Gopher-esque in real life.
He might have been.
When was the last time we saw Anthony Hopkins in a comedy?
True.
Yeah,
I can't think of any.
The other thing he does, like this highbrow, he's being Anthony Hopkins just as a different character, but now it's just like he was unrecognizable at first. I didn't, so much so that because I remember seeing this when I was younger. I don't know why, but then we were watching the movie. I was like, wait a minute, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming off of Ivory Merchant Productions. He's a little too austere to be doing something like this.
He won an Oscar. He did Shadowlands. He did Remains of the Day, and then he goes to this.
Maybe he thought this was supposed to be a drama. You know?
No,
the way he played it, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah,
he's got the best lines in the movie, too.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, maybe he was just looking for some fun then. Maybe he needed a sanitarium.
Like there were melodramatic moments, like all the flashbacks between him and George. Who the kid they got to play young Dana Carvey was
Gummo.
Yes.
Gummo.
Yeah. He was good though. He does look, I mean, enough like Dana Carvey. So and at least I think we were talking about this last week when I was talking about this with a friend. When you act next to a person, they must have met enough to get each other's tics. You know, so like his movements, his facial tics are very similar to Dana Carvey's. So they did good work to make each other look alike.
An insane scene partner matchup.
Yeah. I actually like Matthew Broderick's performance. I know it's a little more out there, a little zanier, but
it seems like it's in his range.
Work for me. Well, yeah, he was doing a bunch of lowbrow comedies in the 90s. I don't know if he's trying to recapture some magic that he had started
not until like
the 80s. I mean, Election's good.
Not until he was in like Election did he kind of rebound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. What was
Ferris
that
Bueller,
Out on a
you're-
Limb that we did a poster boy for?
Oh, that was awful.
That was just now. It's like he's always like put upon. He feels like he's out of place, and he's just
He never
exasperated.
after
But I like
Ferris
it
Bueller,
here.
he never played the cool guy after Ferris Bueller. That was like a one-time deal.
Yeah, I wonder if it's something psychological, but
He becomes like like you said, the Woody Allen stand-in. He's kind of the nebbish.
Yeah, because no one's cool in this. I mean, John Cusack's trying to keep it together. I like his speech at the end where he tells Kellogg off because he's right. Everyone's a con artist if you really think about it. You're trying to sell something, and if it's successful, you're just a successful con artist. So
I
Right.
thought that whole subplot was kind of stillborn.
it didn't feel necessary. I mean, John Cusack did what he could with it, but
Yeah, and I like Michael Lerner, but just that
he
subplot.
really had nothing to do with. He's just there to screw over John Cusack, and
he was
I think the
so-
result is it's just good to have that speech at the end. Is to point out that Kellogg can get too caught up in his own devices
Yeah.
and be blinded to that fact.
Even though
But-
there's a big fire at the end, I don't feel like there's comedic escalation to that point.
Right. I think they could have focused more on Dana Carvey's character and then cut some of the John Cusack things. Maybe had it focus on Dana Carvey's side of that, and then it could have escalated by having Dana Carvey give that speech. Maybe it was just Michael Lerner and Dana Carvey getting together. Not that I'm
It
ruining
does-
John Cusack, but
Because the
It's
redemption when he falls
plot-
into that
plot
is kind
timing.
of
It does-
rushed. Came out of nowhere.
It felt rushed at the end, and for a second I thought he was going to pull him in with him.
Mhm.
Be
Oh,
like-
yeah.
and then they were gonna. That was how they were gonna die. But
Right.
not knowing the history of entirely what happened.
Well, that's
But-
the heart attack at the end isn't what happened to Kellogg in real life
Right.
either. This is
Yeah.
this is a
Well, it was a
highly
funny
fictionalized
visual.
version of Kellogg.
That's
The
why
only thing that's real is that there was a sanitarium.
I was fascinated with the fact that like as big as this movie, like as over the top as they went with this, like there were only like 5 trivia items
Mhm.
listed. Nobody has seen this movie,
Right.
at least in the last like 25 years.
Well, the DVD only
You've
came out
seen it?
recently. This is what we're doing. We're trying to present it to the
Right.
people.
Right.
Is
We
this
are the
worth
curator-
doing
We
something?
are the curators of past movies.
Yeah. It may still die on the vine. But yeah, what else can we say? I thought like you said, with the set being pretty solid, I thought the art direction was pretty great. They got everything down to science.
Yeah.
To get like the little devices that he's making up, trying to figure out what might work best to cure people, or the costumes that people are using, like the different. Well, there's the device that Matthew Broderick uses later in the film as a gift to him.
Yeah.
I did not research if that's a real item, but
I mean, this whole movie
Was
forced people
I think-
to figure that we just need to like be help, do normal human things
mhm,
to feel better.
mhm.
Based on what
Mm.
Jeff was saying, I do wonder if they had just done a straight biopic dramatic movie, how this would have worked out. I think it would have worked
I
out
don't
better.
think it would have played as well.
You don't think so?
No.
I
Because a
felt
lot-
it would have been like a
if you're-
Kinsey type movie.
Yeah.
If you're looking at this from the lens of medical knowledge as we know now, it is
quack.
ridiculous. And I don't think like if you played it serious, like I think it would be way darker and more like off-putting than this is just like you have Matthew Broderick standing in for the skeptic who's just like, yeah, none of this is real. What is going on? And he's just like watching it integrate. Some of it works, like, but it's just the simple stuff that he could have done at home.
Right.
He didn't have to go to a.
And there's
600
already medical knowledge that we were losing by the turn of the century. That was a little ridiculous too. So that's kind of like, you ignore what you're feeling as you've had a miscarriage, which is what happens to Bridget Fonda's character. Like you're just supposed to keep that inside yourself. Like talking about it with Cameron Manheim is something that was probably therapeutic for her, and you wouldn't have even realized that unless you had someone next to you. So I think that's sort of what they're trying to do. They're trying to juxtapose old methods with new methods, and there's a certain type of satire that works with. And I don't know if Alan Parker necessarily got it here.
yeah.
Like,
Coen
maybe
Brothers.
there's too
I mean,
much.
also like the satire, like probably would have been a reflection of today's society. How like everybody's always hopping on like the latest trends for like health, because like they did like bring up that bit a couple times where like the ladies when they're socializing is like, well, I just got on the vegetarianism or blah blah blah, and then like the male radical doctors who's got these viewpoints and they're like, oh, ooh, like you're right, this is better for us,
right?
So
that is kind of
just,
happening.
But it's just their con to get laid,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mini subplot I kind of wish was fleshed out a little more.
Yeah, maybe that more than John Cusack. Maybe focus on the sanitarium. I do know the novel has all these subplots in it, so that's kind of what he's doing. He's adapting pretty straight from the novel. Right. So that may be the issue. You pare down what doesn't work pacing wise, you know?
I think an alternate for this movie would have been Animaniacs.
Yeah. Or Hysteria.
Hysteria, right.
Yeah. There's an underrated show.
The Coen brothers could have done something with this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
This ultimately as like a zany comedy just doesn't have many laughs, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Other than like Hopkins' performance and then a few scattered ones with Dana Carvey. So as a comedy, it's a failure.
Yeah, jeez.
Wow, it's quirky.
No one watch this. Keep this dead. Jeez. It's funny you liked them. I actually didn't like them that much at all. I thought
didn't like Anthony Hopkins.
That's kind of felt obnoxious to me. I thought he was trying too hard.
No.
Hopkins?
Yeah.
Oh.
Really?
He was trying to be a prairie dog?
Well, yeah.
It was the mouthpiece.
Oh, he had the same mouthpiece that Rami Malek had for Freddie Mercury.
Oh, jeez. Well, he won an Oscar, so I don't know what happened here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was trying to say with the old and the new. Like, sometimes you read a book and you think, oh, this is hilarious. How crazy were we in 1902 to be doing this stuff? But it doesn't necessarily translate to the screen. Like, I always think about how to make people interested in a certain piece of history, but no one necessarily cares about the 1800s. Not a wide swath of the population anymore. We don't love history in general.
I thought that this was interesting because whenever you see because this took place in 1907, so you see most things that take place in the late 1900s or late 1800s, early 1900s, they're all very hoity-toity and dramatic, with the exception of A Million Ways to Die in the West, which was not great. But this is something. It shows it had a lighter fare to it, but it still had insane production value. The costumes and even just the horse and buggies going everywhere. There was not a thing out of place. And they weren't playing it to be. They weren't playing it as a comedy. It was just playing out because the historical context of it is just absolutely ridiculous. And they were playing it as sincere as possible, which is how good comedy works.
Yeah, you can't just overlay it with a certain treacly piano to make it sound like it's a comedy. Take that music out.
They did though.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, things are getting heated right now.
Oh,
I think we need to settle it in the sanitarium.
There's only so many times they can try to mine enemas for laughs.
Right.
But poop is funny. Poop is funny.
Poop is funny, unless it's in my bed.
I know Frank Reynolds said that, but doesn't necessarily make it true.
Well, anyway, I don't know.
I'm trying to think of what else there is to say about this movie, honestly.
I mean, it kills time. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
Has a bit of charm.
The movie made me realize without good material, I'd say, but Bridget Fonda can't really elevate a movie unless she has a really good director.
Yeah.
Because Jackie Brown is obviously probably her best role. And that's because Quentin writes really good dialogue. But between this and last year she was in that Point of No
Return.
Not great.
Yeah.
She was one of those Nepo babies where I'm I don't get it.
Yeah.
When
it trickles down 3 generations, you can't help it.
Shoot.
The other important thing to remember about this movie is it was based on a book that was literally sold in cereal boxes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a funny thing.
Because C.W. Post wrote the original booklet called Road to Wellville, and you'll recognize that name as the competitor to Kellogg's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so he just that was the original prize in the bottom of the cereal box was.
This is
the kind of joke that
I thought Unfrosted was going to be.
This is kind of the problem. with the fact we know about the CW Post pamphlet, it doesn't help that there was a novel in 92, I think, 93 that comes out. Their joke is that that's the rival pamphlet. So Post thinks he's doing a funny because he's calling out the crazy sanitarium that doesn't work from his rival. But we don't care about that in 2024, let alone 94. So the joke title just turns audiences off. They're like, what am I going to see? Cereal magnates? And one of them's not even in it. Like, it's not even about cornflakes in the end.
Maybe this is a dig against me, but it kind of reminded me of like a better version of Unfrosted. And I liked Unfrosted. But
I liked Unfrosted better.
I like Unfrosted better.
Like, if you go into it not expecting something serious, like if you go into this movie expecting a drama about like turn of the century medical devices, you're going to be sorely disappointed. But it was an accurate trailer or something. You go in, you're just like, oh, this is about all the ridiculous things that happened back then. I don't know. Played out like an episode of Drunk History.
Yeah.
I saw that episode. It was better than this.
Yeah. Who narrated it?
Forget who was the guest that time. I did not look this up beforehand. I can Google that real quick. But any other thoughts about this at all? I know we went quick. So.
Well, the movie's kind of a mess.
I really think that goes back to the book, though, because there's so many subplots. I think if there's anything wrong with this film, it's just that. Because I honestly think everyone did their best, even if I didn't like, say, some of the performances. Oh, it was Owen Wilson did the Drunk History episode.
Oh man, if he should have been the Matthew Broderick role in this.
He played Kellogg, actually.
Oh, dude, he'd have been good.
So he might not have narrated, but yeah, it was Luke and Owen played the Kellogg brothers. Because even this thing, John Harvey Kellogg isn't the inventor of the cereal. It was his brother.
No, he invented the cornflake, and his brother stole it and marketed it.
Fair enough.
So,
which that might have been the movie I thought this was going to be.
Also the same guy who invented the graham cracker as a sexual inhibitor. I don't know why. History, but
looks like it was Paget Brewster narrated it.
No. When you roll back on that last one, what was used as a sexual inhibitor or
graham cracker?
Crackers.
Yeah.
Graham crackers
no.
Yeah, they're so dry they dry you out.
They're flavorless.
Really kill the mood.
I mean, you take it on a camping trip and like do some weird sexy shit and then like bang bang boom, you ruin it. That concept. Like
yeah, no. People will find a way.
Yeah, no, they will.
Well, that's why the sanitarium didn't work.
They're all quacks. That's the joke.
Yeah. So
like give ratings?
Yeah, what do we feel about grades for this film?
A+, 10 out of 10.
Oh my god.
I love this film.
This is a nostalgia film for you. That's fine.
This is a nostalgic pick for this man.
Yeah, I'm curious. Why is this a film you love, Jeff?
Because it's absolutely ridiculous. I can see the satire in it, and I appreciate it. And maybe it's because I've looked into the history of this stuff. It's well done, in my opinion. I could do a whole other analysis on this, but none of you will read it. So
I would.
I'll just put it in a cereal box and.
I'm not going to dismiss your.
It's over the top. It's ridiculous, but it's the way it's played is just works for the material. So, also, I think the first time that I saw it was like I walked into the room and saw him Hopkins doing the John Harvey Kellogg bit, and I was just like 8 years old, and I thought this is hilarious. And then the next scene came on, and I was like, "Get the fuck out of the room."
That's funny. Yeah. See this is why it's a nostalgic favorite for you. You have a connection to it.
Not really a connection.
But that's not why it's good for you. I understand why it's good.
Doing it, like that's why I remember it, and actually rewatching it this time with what I know now about film and medical history and all that, like I appreciated it as a comedy and as it's not meant to be serious. But now you guys can just screw up my average.
I'll chime in. I'll help your average. I'm giving it a B+.
All right.
Good. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it. But it's not the greatest, so not in the A category, but B+. I found it satisfying.
So we're allowed to disagree.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and
but
I like different things than you both did, and I'm pretty sure. Did you love the Hopkins impression, Jimmy?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
I couldn't stop thinking about like if he's doing the animal
prairie
bet
dog. Yeah,
thing that I stated, like it's a prairie dog or a gopher.
yeah.
That's what I zeroed in. I'm like, I'm good with this. It's
And
fine.
see, I liked Broderick's performance, but no one else seemed to. So
I like
It might
Broderick.
have been the subplot I didn't care for, not him particularly.
fair enough.
Broderick was playing the straight man in the whole thing.
Right, and maybe I
He
like
usually
that.
is a straight man in this time period.
Yeah,
Cable Guy is a complete straight man.
yeah, that's true. That's his next thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's why I'm saying like it's okay to like something if other people don't. Because I'm usually in that boat with Cory. Cory usually hates something and I don't. And I feel bad about
I
it,
feel
but
like
it's okay to love it.
I feel like Matthew Broderick's character is more of a hapless idiot than a straight man because like he
fair.
he gets a lot of shit thrown at him besides it being flushed out.
Literally and figuratively.
Really?
Because like
But
the
they
reason
were
he's there really is because his wife poisoned him,
Yeah, accidentally.
trying
So
to
it's kind of
get him to not be
a
an
comedy of
alcoholic.
errors.
She gave him one of those trendy
Once I was-
medicines, which was like opium essentially.
Right.
He went there to detox, but he didn't realize that.
That's also what I was trying to say with the old and the new methods. He was
Yeah.
becoming an alcoholic because his child had died and his wife wouldn't have sex with him, and it could have been cured by a conversation, possibly.
Yeah.
And it just didn't go that way. So I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of funny.
And then later on, like he gets a part of his colon removed because like the doctor is like, well, you ate meat and you're a disgusting, filthy animal, so you can't. This is what we got to do
Right.
to save you.
That's
Like-
the kind of stuff I liked in this movie. It's interesting. I don't know. I still
Yeah.
might give it a C because I didn't love the overall pacing and everything. Like it doesn't work as a film overall, but like the arguments you have for it, Jeff, aren't why I hate it, or dislike it. So, it's just not
I
one
think
of my
that was a
favorites
Freudian
that we've
slip
covered.
there, buddy.
Well, we're not covering a dangerous method right now.
Face.
That was good. That was a good movie.
Yeah. Imagine Freud's story done this way. That could be
I
interesting.
think that was what I
Wait, he played Freud later in life.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just last year.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. Well,
Colonel Sanders at the time too.
that's
I
true.
think
It does look like
Anthony
Colonel Sanders.
represented three separate people in my brain from this
Yeah.
character.
Yeah. What do you think, Cory?
All right, so
Oof.
I admire the absurdist performances and the tone. Unfortunately, I thought it was kind of a disjointed, clunky mess of B plot. So I'm giving it a C minus. See, it's weird because we all like different subplots in the
Right.
movie.
It's interesting.
So-
that I think
So
is a bit.
that means that some of it worked for us and some of it didn't. So
So
like,
this
like-
movie had something for somebody or anybody.
yeah,
But not
sure,
everything for everybody.
yeah.
I mean,
Because
it's
I
not
like
all around
stuff,
movies.
you didn't like it. You liked the Matthew Broderick stuff. You didn't
It's-
like it.
Yeah.
It's a poo-poo bladder movie.
Sure.
It's an appetizing movie. You take what you like.
I'll tell you this. I think I liked it better than some of the other movies that came out this month.
Oh yeah.
Number 5 on the list, actually, Tristan's gonna want to talk about this one. Is Stargate.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ooh,
Which spawned a
that's a good one.
franchise.
Speaking of films I love absolutely and Cory hates absolutely.
Again, this is a nostalgic pick for you. I had not seen it until like a couple years ago, and I didn't understand the hype.
That's not why I
Couldn't
love
get
it.
into it.
It's just genuinely one of the best sci-fi films ever created.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
cool. All right, buddy.
It's a good premise to begin with. And then, I mean, I was into Egyptian things, how like kids are obsessed with dinosaurs. I also liked Tutankhamun and stuff like that. So the fact that these characters go back in what we think is time at first, and then turns out to be where the Egyptian gods went, or at least a faction of Egyptians went in the time the pyramids were built. I always thought it was cool. Like that sort of explains why pyramids were built when we were all like, oh, maybe it was aliens. Kind of was. So that's the thing I love
in
about
this
was the
movie.
premise.
Yeah.
I think some of it does fall apart when it plods along when Daniel's trying to like relate to the new people that he's met. And
Well, it's a white savior complex
right,
on
that's an
another planet.
issue. Yeah, yeah. You can do
Yeah.
it anywhere you are. I also had a funny bit where I didn't know where Adam Sandler came from, and one of the Anubis guards looks very much like Adam Sandler with eyeliner. And so I swore forever that it was Adam Sandler. And then IMDb came along and I was soon corrected. So,
Oh, yeah.
but I was convinced for a couple of years that Adam Sandler was in this movie because there was
There's a
nowhere to
lot.
look it up to prove yourself.
He's the Egyptian water boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, this
I
spawned
get-
a
I-
large franchise that did not
Yeah,
hold up as well as the movie.
Yeah, no, it's weird. There's a lot of fans of the show that like love the show way more than the movie. And I'm just like,
My mom was
"What?"
one of
But
them.
like, yeah, but like me, I like I'm right there with you with like I love the movie way more than the show.
Yeah, there were good aspects of it, but it was a little bit of like NCIS in
Well,
this
NCIS
premise.
meets Star Trek.
Yeah. It is a good premise to go to other worlds, but I
Oh,
think
yeah.
they focus more on the inter office drama than the actual like, oh, here's a new planet a week. So I know I'm.
But it adds to the lore.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I knew I wouldn't. I knew I would digress.
you're
on
fine.
this.
I'll give it this. It does set the template for the Roland Emmerich formula that would continue into like Independence Day. Because James Spader is basically the Jeff Goldblum.
Mhm.
So he kind of uses his formula over again.
Or the John Cusack in 2012.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he uses it a lot in those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is a documentary that got a lot of traction when Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 enthusiastic thumbs up, which is Hoop Dreams. And later on, the same director would go on to do Life Itself, which is a documentary about Roger Ebert. This is about 3 prospects, basketball prospects in the inner city looking to get scholarships through basketball and kind of get out of their circumstances. It's good. They even show like a lot of the hardships that go along with being a basketball prospect at that age. Like everybody thinks that they're it's funny, like it's a fly on the wall documentary. So I kind of wish that they had done like a those 7-Up series where they come and revisit those characters every couple of years to see how they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wish there was I'm sure that this was put out on Criterion, so I'm sure there's a coda or like interviews with those people about what happened to them later in life.
Yeah.
But it's actually a really good documentary.
This is cited as the pinnacle of documentaries. This is what caused the documentary boom after this.
Yeah.
So beforehand, it was mainly informational stuff where it was just kind of flat. And this like really delved into personal lives and gave a heart to things when you're documenting them.
Mm-hmm. Number 3 is a movie that launched the New Jersey native filmmaker who, for better or worse, has gone on to be the people's favorites or their least favorites, which is Kevin Smith with Clerk. It's impressive what he does with the amount of time and budget and non-actors that he has in front of the camera. But it goes to show that when writing dialogue, he was fantastic at it. Like a lot of those scenes are riveting because of the dialogue exchanges. They're filled with so much verve and insight. He's a very literate writer. Well, he was. Not anymore.
Yeah, you could cite that he got pigeonholed into his own devices, similar to John Harvey Kellogg. But this film, much like Hoop Dreams, was the pinnacle of indie filmmaking. It kind of made Sundance the behemoth it became.
And for better or worse, around this time period, Harvey Weinstein, the Weinsteins were just finding a lot of young, talented filmmakers who would go on to become mainstays like Tarantino, Kevin Smith. I'm blanking on some other people, but
yeah, but those 2 were the most cited for making this era what it was because we were kind of getting to a new Hollywood too, where we were finding the next generation of filmmakers, the auteurs.
And it put stuff like Sundance on the map too. Like these were some of
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it is kind of funny because then you look at it and there is a subgenre of New Jersey film where it's people that don't really make it out of New Jersey, but they make films like this. There are hundreds of films that are like Clerks.
Jeff had some association with Clerks 3.
Not Clerks 3. I was working on a music video with Kevin Smith and watched it.
Yeah, for his Smog Castle Cinemas.
That's right.
Yeah, we've all come across the family.
If you've worked or lived in New Jersey in the last 30 years, you've had some association with Kevin Smith.
or one of his people, like Jason Mewes or
Yeah.
Dante. We've had dinner with Dante.
I mean, the cool thing is though he's one of those guys that like he definitely never will ever forget where he came from and like constantly gives back. Like he owns the Quick Stop that he shot the movie at now.
Mm-hmm.
That Smod Castle he used for the 4:30 movie.
Yeah,
that's where the music video was at.
Yeah, that's what we shot too. And incidentally, it was like right after we bought it, so we also that same day we shot the I guess whatever little Jay and Silent Bob thing plays before the movie, like his version of the Nicole Kidman AMC thing.
Oh, you were there for that?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I was a part of history that day, whether I wanted to be or not.
Yeah,
it was cool though, and he's a cool guy, and he's just it was fun.
Q&As are great.
Yeah.
Although for a while I had to stop following him on Twitter. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's too much.
It's a bit much, but
yeah.
The my number 2 movie for the month is a movie that was actually going to go directly to cable, just like the director's other film, and luckily got a theatrical release at the last second, which is The Last Seduction. John Dahl previously had released Red Rock West with Nicolas Cage and Dennis Hopper, and that was also going to premiere on cable. So I don't know, he had bad luck around this time period with stuff going directly to cable, even though the quality of these movies is really good. This one is like a delectable kind of labyrinthian thriller about Linda Fiorentino playing this kind of Black Widow who embezzles money with her husband, then runs off with it, and then uses Peter Berg as this dupe to help her launder the money.
Ah, okay.
It's actually one of Peter Berg's better acting roles because he's gone to be a really successful director.
Yeah.
But it's under radar.
It looks interesting.
It's really good. It's one of her best roles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other one's Dogma, actually. Kevin Smith's dog.
Oh, that's true. And Men in Black.
Yeah, Men in Black.
Yeah.
She
had a little run in the 90s.
But the number 1 movie of the month, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, is Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. This omnibus movie, which, unlike Road to Wellville, has interweaving plots that I think are all engrossing. And he does play with non-linear chronology that doesn't become confusing at all. And it also was the comeback vehicle for Travolta.
That chronology thing warrants you to want to watch it more and more to see if you miss something, to see if you can catch more details, and then you can piece it together in your own mind. So it's kind of cool. And every actor gives a pitch perfect performance, I think.
It's another one that's really dialogue driven.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the conversations are so fascinating that you want to be there for it. I mean, people quote this movie nonstop.
Yeah, who didn't have a Uma Thurman poster in their dorm when they went?
I have one in my room right now.
I definitely had that in my freshman year dorm.
I did not.
That and Fight Club. That was classic 2004.
Yeah. Most popular poster at the college book fair sales.
Yeah, I read that pretty early on in my second semester. I'm like, I'm gonna roll these up. I'm gonna take those down.
This also gets cited as the one that got snubbed for Best Picture because Forrest Gump won.
Mm. It's crazy that we have Forrest Gump, Shawshank Redemption, and Pulp Fiction in the same year, and they're cold classics.
Yes,
like all 3 of them could have won, and they're all good in their own way.
Yeah, that's why it's always weird when people argue with Forrest Gump winning. I'm like, well, I mean,
the worst choice.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, even if I would put it 3rd out of those 3, it's still better than 90% of Best Pictures, honestly.
Right. But after that, it brings us to Poster Boy.
Oh, I gotta do something.
We got 2 this month.
We do, yeah.
Oh,
The second one's a little bit of a bonus, but okay.
Oh God.
Okay.
Oh man.
A new comedy from the director of Pretty Woman. Okay, so I'm looking
How
at
the Mighty Have Fallen.
so there's some arches overlooking an infinity pool. Standing in front of that is a dude. It looks like Tony Danza.
Nope.
Very small screen that I had. Chained to the arches with a dominatrix in front of him. And then in front of them, in the foreground, are 2 FBI agents also seemingly posing as S&M club members. Cool.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, do you recognize those two people in the middle? Because I figured you wouldn't. I also didn't take out anyone's names in the bottom.
I think
I did. I did.
no. Wait, is that not Tony Danza? Who the fuck is Ralph
I don't
Macchio?
think you'll know him at
It's
all.
too young.
You might
It's-
know
He's not
her.
gonna know that guy. That guy would.
Yeah. I don't think you'll know her, but those two faces of the FBI agents are blurred out because you would know them. So I was curious if you could guess based on their hair or anything else, or if you happen to know this film based on the fact that they're in S&M. That was the famous selling point of this.
I
Yeah.
don't, but I'm gonna take a stab at the title.
Yeah, why not?
Dungeon Masters? No,
No.
no.
What do you think the plot of this would be?
I think this is
What?
like a leaving Las Vegas situation.
Even better.
No, clearly that guy is some sort of
Sicko.
sicko. No, some sort of renegade millionaire who got involved in the wrong. He called the wrong number on the wrong card and got wrapped up in something that was supposed to be just like a fun night in Vegas, and then ended up being he got roped into this whole world sex trafficking comedy that was probably very ill-advised.
You're almost on to a better tagline with a roped in. That's a better plot already.
All chained up.
Yeah, right.
Nowhere to
I know where to go. Yeah, that's good. All right, I'm gonna give you the faces.
with it.
Gotta actually click on it, I guess.
Do you know who that is?
O'Donnell and Dan Ack. What the?
Yep.
What the hell?
This is an
Holy
infamous
shit.
bomb for both of them.
Wow.
This really
Yeah,
stopped
dude.
Dan Aykroyd's career.
Good.
Well, he does
Lord.
another bad movie coming up too.
Oh, I know, but this is
It is-
really he already had it in the pipeline.
The eyes also say it all because Rosie O'Donnell, they're both holding their badges to the camera. Rosie O'Donnell is looking at Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd is clearly looking at Rosie O'Donnell's chest.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is just.
Well,
this
you always want to see Rosie O'Donnell in bondage gear, right?
I mean, the 90s were
There's
weird.
another movie that she does that in.
What?
I'm pretty sure. Well,
Yeah. What's that, Jimmy?
I don't remember.
That
It
is.
was also a comedy, but I'm pretty sure I've seen her in another
she have
movie
her-
where she's like in bondage gear or
I'm
something
wondering
like
if you're thinking of this one because you don't know the name, obviously.
No,
Yeah.
like it was like a random like scene. Like she just popped in. I don't think she was a lead in it or anything.
Okay.
Which is weird.
Chains, Leatherman, rompers. I'm just trying to think. Weird.
Do you want to try another tagline? Because that one was good, but if you want to try one more before I show you what it actually is, it's not really a funny tagline. So you're not going to get the actual one.
He's just looking for the safe word.
That's actually a good one.
Yeah, come on, man.
Damn it.
Oh Jesus! There's more
Yep.
than two
The whole
cops are going
paragraph there.
the exotic island of Eden. But to correct this case, they'll have to flash more than their badges.
Not good.
That's so lame.
So just because this is why I held off on showing you everything, because I wasn't expecting you to get this unless you really knew about this movie. From that tagline, can you guess the title? Did that jog any of your memory for like a
East. I don't know.
that's what it's
no.
playing off of.
Yeah.
Exit to Eden.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would not have. I've never heard of it.
Do you want to give a brief thing, Cory,
Yeah.
about this?
Okay, so the Paul Mercurio character is a photographer who gets a picture of a jewel thief. He goes to an S&M island, and he's followed by these two
As one does.
detectives who follow him there. It's basically they take a Red Shoe Diaries episode, and they try to put this sex comedy with it, and neither one of them work. And I'm pretty sure that the Rosie O'Donnell and Dan Aykroyd segment was added on in post because they don't really commingle with anybody in the plot until the end.
Weird. So they're not even really the leads. It's obviously Paul Mercurio.
No. Yeah, and all those scenes are played
Who I've
straight.
never heard of.
Those scenes are played straight. No
Interesting.
comedy to it. It's like a Cinemax show.
Weird.
That's crazy.
So obviously it got
no-
chopped together.
The movie's awful.
Yeah.
And Gary
Had no
Marshall's
desire.
an awful director. I'm sorry.
Yeah, other than Pretty Woman, and which you don't even like,
I don't
I
even
don't think
like
it's
that.
really done great things. Sorry, Gary.
Penny was better.
All right. So in case you had totally stumbled through this, like got blocked up or whatever, I had another one that has an interesting poster at least.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect you to know them, so I just left their names at the top. I wasn't worried about that because she doesn't even look like herself there, like normally. So, and I know you're not going to know who Brian Ben is.
He might be a Dream On fan.
Brian Ben.
Have you heard of him?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a dead guy standing behind a WBN microphone, and two people looking out from behind a curtain, trying to see if he's still there. I want to say this is
Yeah. Why don't you give a plot, or if you know what it
Video
is?
their video, and they killed the radio star.
Nah.
Yeah.
Broadcast. No.
Yeah, come up with your own plot just based on this.
All right.
You did pretty well with LXII.
They tried to blackmail a syndicated radio host, and it went too far because then he died, and now they have to find out who done it live on the air.
Is that what it is? I actually don't know the plot of this one.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't bad though.
Yeah,
It was based on this image, you know. So I'll give you points for that.
early off the poster, which is the point.
Yeah. What did you drop?
Or it's just something like he got. It's just
Dead
a
air.
drama. That got out
Don't
of
give
hand.
him ideas. Do you want to try and do a slogan for your plot?
The voiceover guy is now 6 feet under. I don't know.
In a world where I don't
a
wake
world.
up.
Oh, guys, Lake Bell doing that?
It's not in a world. I've seen that.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
The world.
All right, I'll give you what it actually is.
At station WBN, the hits keep on coming. Okay. This is now a mob movie about some radio that got hit for,
Speaking
some
the truth.
money laundering nonsense, because it's all, I don't know, they were all money laundering comedies back then.
Yee?
Is that more closely to the plot, Corey?
Do you want me to say the plot?
Yeah, I mean, he's already given his fake one.
He's not far off. I mean, they're doing a live radio play in front of an audience, and people just start dying.
So do you want to try and give one last title before I give
I
you
like
the real
noises enough if there was murder.
That's kind of cool.
Oh, God. Murder on the Air.
Yeah, that's good. It's close.
Radioland Murders.
Have you ever heard of this?
Close. I've not.
Based on what I know, you would have liked
play
this.
out of this.
They might have.
Seems like a natural to make a play out.
Yeah, I mean, just based on the poster and what I know of this, I feel like Jeff and I would like the movie.
I don't think you would actually.
Really?
It's exhausting.
Okay.
It's a little too frantic.
Never mind.
I don't know, Cory. I don't trust you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quinn.
Yeah, you didn't like Road to Wellville. How can I trust you?
Some bitch only gave it different rating than me.
Michael McKean's in it. Michael Lerner's in this too. He had 2 October 94 films.
Hey.
George Lucas, producer.
He wrote it. It's a story of his.
Lucas?
Yeah, but then he didn't direct it. The guy who's the albino in Princess Bride directed this.
Mel Smith.
Yeah. The guy that's like, yeah, he's not quite dead. Kind of wild. You got a lot of points on this episode. So, not bad.
He slowly.
How many I get?
You got none. You didn't chime in. Where'd you go? Oh, that was Jeff. I saw the J for a second. I think it's time to do our picks of the month. We figured even though this is a pretty big ensemble cast, this is kind of the last hurrah for Matthew Broderick this decade. He does Election, which is sort of a comeback, but that's big enough that it's not going to really be covered on this podcast. Not as the main feature. So we figured he'd be the best choice for like who we'd want to pick a movie from this month. So you guys have any ideas?
Oh, I know immediately what my movie
I know
is.
mine too.
Yeah, why don't you guys go? I'll see what I can get for that.
Yeah. Mine might be a little bit
Obvious.
shameful.
Why?
It's Godzilla.
Oh, that's fine. He's good in
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's a garbage movie, but I love it.
Yeah, I like him in
Because
general. Maybe that's why I was
I
biased for this.
Yeah, I watched the hell out of that movie.
That threw me for a loop. Mine's gonna be Glory.
Really?
Yeah,
That's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought you were going to do Cable Guy. You love that movie.
I know, but I love Glory more.
All right.
He seems a little out of his element, but that works perfectly for the character. He's supposed to be that way. Not the first guy I would think of for a historical drama during the Civil War. So
It's funny, and you brought up Princess Bride too. So like his co-star is
yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. What are you thinking, Jeff? Are you looking through the filmography too, like I am?
I'm still looking.
I'm trying to pick, but I mean, I
There's
think
obvious.
my favorite one of his films is probably Ferris Bueller, but I don't need to recommend that necessarily.
No.
You know what? Here's an underrated performance of his. It's a voice role.
Oh no.
I knew you. Don't say Thief in the Cop.
No. What do you think, Jimmy?
Are you gonna say Lion King?
No. It's B movie. He's Jerry Seinfeld's sidekick.
Oh my
He's
God.
funny in that.
Actually, he is very funny.
Oh.
He's very funny in that.
mean,
It's
really?
you don't remember he's in that, and he's actually pretty
I
funny.
didn't see it.
We should watch it.
I never saw it.
You'll give it
Now,
an
how
A.
come he
You'll give it
wasn't-
A to B movie.
How come he wasn't in Unfrosted? Damn it.
I know, I should have been in there. He does all these weird cameos. Like went through this and I was like, he's in Manchester by the Sea. And then I jogged my memory and I was like, yeah, he's kind of
He's got that one
in there.
scene.
Right.
Is
Is that
he-
something you want to
Weird.
recommend?
Weird question. Has he ever been in a movie with Brendan Fraser?
I don't know. Why?
They should do a thing since like he already did it with John Cusack back in the day. And they next
Oh,
future
like
movie
this
those
era?
two, yeah, this era. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hollywood, I hope you hear this.
Nobody's gonna pick Project X with the chimp.
I was
I've never-
I was going with War Games, but
Hey,
That's fine. That's a good movie
Oh, yeah.
that I've not seen, so I couldn't pick it.
yeah. No, War Games is good.
Someday I'll
I mean-
see War Games.
You're
Also Cable Guy.
Cable Guy's great.
You get 2 picks. You get 2
No.
picks because you like Road to Wellville. We all like Cable Guys. You've seen Cable Guy, right, Jimmy?
No,
No,
I've
we
never
should watch
seen
that.
it.
I haven't seen that
Cable
since.
Guy. No, I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say
The
White
it's got
Rabbit
the best,
scene.
no, it's got the best fight scene ever.
Star
What's it
Trek
called?
one?
Yeah.
I was thinking the medieval times thing.
Yeah, the Star Trek meets medieval times because he does the music while he's fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has some good films that they're generally popular. Obviously, Ferris Bueller, War Games is a good choice. Election, like we sort of mentioned, for a comeback. He was in No Hard Feelings last year, so I'm sort of hoping he makes a comeback where he's
funny.
actually in more of the film.
He was
I almost
also
picked that.
he was also in like he's done some TV stuff too. Like he played himself in Only Murders.
He's good in
What was
that.
It was good. But he was also in Painkiller. He played the Purdue guy.
We could have played that or done that. He also was very funny on 30 Rock. He's always popping up like, yeah, Cooter. He's only in 2 episodes, but he's a highlight of the show.
And who can forget the live action Inspector Gadget?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Trying to for
Other
sure.
than ever.
I mean, anyway, next month.
Speaking of medical quackery.
Yeah. Next month, a person and their protege are together in one film. I didn't know if that would necessarily line up well. But it's just a 2-hander next month. Instead of this ensemble cast we were inundated with, it's just going to be William H. Macy and his student in a David Mamet adapted drama that I think could be interesting. I've never seen the actual movie adaptation, but Oleana. You've heard of this, right, Jeff? I assume. Yeah. Yeah. I think you'd like it. So, I mean, you generally like Mamet.
Yeah.
But this is his heyday on Broadway and otherwise. So this will be a good chance for Cory to talk about one of his favorites too. So I think you'd like it too, Jimmy. We'll see. Plus, this is like the beginning of the William H. Macy era. So
Fargo's coming up in a year, right?
yeah. 96, yeah.
96.
So this will be fun. A nice, quiet Thanksgiving listen.
Yes.
I heard it's not that quiet.
No.
I heard it's pretty vulgar.
Yeah.
You're pretty cool.
Well, Mamet.
Damn it, yeah.
But yeah, so all right. Well, we'll see you next month. Remember to rate, review, subscribe. Hope if you liked Road to Wellville, you'll argue about it for Jeff's case in the comments.
Nazi is feetsies.
Break
Oh,
your
yeah.
break your son's leg.
Well, Tanya Harding on all of them.